Hey folks, welcome to another episode of The Security Table. This is Chris Romeo, as always joined by Matt Coles and Izar Tarandosh, who is actually going to be auditioning for Santa Claus 7 Back to the North Pole. I should talk. I've got the whitest beard of anybody here, and my hair's getting a little bit longer now too, so I'm kind of getting into character for potential Santa Claus.
You do not want a Santa Claus that comes only for Hanukkah. So I'm out.
That's a good point. Good point.
I'm pretty sure that's definitely biblical catastrophic, is it not?
So here's a trivia question for you before we get too deep into the world of security. Who is responsible for the modern way that we portray Santa Claus? By the dress, meaning the red jacket, the red pants, the hat.
I saw a YouTube special on this recently.
You got way too much time in your hand.
Yeah. Wait, there's a YouTube special on this topic?
There is a YouTube special
on everything.
It was Weird History, I think, that had it.
Did you see me in the episode? Was I speaking about this topic? I thought I was the only person that knew this trivia question.
But wait.
Think about it. I can give you a hint that I think will drive you there. Think about a company.
It was Coca-Cola. Yeah.
Coca-Cola has created the modern rendition in the early 1900s of what we see now as Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Wait, including the red.
Yeah, everything.
The red,
it was the brand. It's the brand. It's the brand part.
And everything. Yeah. Because Santa Claus is based on Saint Nicholas, who was a real character who traveled around. Real person. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I meant that. Real person. Was a real human being who traveled around towns and gave gifts to children, right? Like he's a real historical figure.
Yeah.
And
if anyone watches Expedition Unknown with Josh Gates on Discovery, I think it's on Discovery, he actually did an episode about tracing the history of Saint Nicholas. So if anyone's curious about that, that's an interesting episode.
The whole Santa Claus thing did not go to the Celts and human sacrifices and solstices and all that kind of thing, because I read that stuff too and I was terrified. No? It's Coca-Cola?
It's Coca-Cola.
It's Coca-Cola.
I can live with Coca-Cola. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So we're not just here to talk about holiday trivia, which we could do a whole episode of holiday trivia. I can think of much more questions. Mariah Carey sings what song around the holidays?
Oh, please no. Please no.
Earwig time. I'm putting it into people's heads. I knew it. They can hear it now. They're like,
come on. It's Grandma gets run over by a reindeer. You know, that's just
classic. I love that one.
Grandma's not the song.
Yeah, that's a good song too. I mean, if you're ever at karaoke, fire that thing up.
I'll give you 5 seconds before I start with the Hanukkah song. By the way, best Christmas movie ever?
Die Hard.
100%.
The Hebrew Hammer.
The Hebrew Hammer. Never heard of this.
The Hebrew Hammer.
Who would I find? Who stars in the Hebrew Hammer?
What does the Hebrew Hammer have to do with Christmas?
Oh, he says Christmas. The Hebrew Hammer with he is part man, part streets, 100% kosher. That's with Adam Goldberg and Andy Dick.
Oh, okay.
And definitely a movie to watch.
Okay. That's not one I've ever heard of, so.
Die Hard.
Die Hard, definitely.
Well, Die Hard goes without saying, yeah.
And Home Alone.
It's not Christmas until Hubbard falls from the
I gotta tell you this. So you want to hear a sad fact about holiday movies? I watched Christmas Vacation again like a couple weeks ago, and it just doesn't hold up for me.
No.
It's just, I'm like, we turned it off with about probably 45 minutes left, and I'm like, this just isn't funny. I used to think this was funny, Vacation, but I don't know what happened, but it's just not. It's not laugh out loud anymore.
Is it Randy Quaid or was it Chevy Chase that sort of?
I think it's just it's just not. It's just the comedy just doesn't pop, and maybe comedy has changed in the last 30 years or so, and it's
we are much
punchy.
more cynical nowadays. Yeah. But I watched Chevy Chase's The European Vacation,
Yeah.
That one is still fun.
Okay. Look, kids. Big Ben. Parliament. 2 or 3 hours later. Look, kids. Big Ben.
Big Ben.
We know. Parliament. Classic. All right, we should talk about security because that's why people came here.
You know,
And
we could talk about Home Alone and Die Hard and with respect to security if we want, but that maybe that's another episode.
Wait. I think that Chris coach told something that's very security related and actually apropos. That particular scene, the context is that they go into a roundabout in London, and because the driving is on the other side, Chevy Chase couldn't get out of the roundabout. So he just kept turning around and around and around the thing, seeing all the same things that he saw before. And with that,
it's a metaphor.
It's a
For the
metaphor.
security
metaphor.
industry. For security, we're just seeing the same things over and over again. Look, kids, CVE.
Vulnerabilities. We know.
All right, so Matt, you got to weigh in here though. Die Hard or Home Alone? Like, what's your best holiday movie?
It's totally Die Hard. I mean,
Agree.
it has to be. I mean, come on, you can't beat Alan Rickman. I mean, geez.
no, apparently you can.
Well,
Yeah, great movie though. Like, and
Oh, yeah.
definitely a Christmas movie.
definitely Christmas.
100%.
Definitely Christmas movie.
You're at a Christmas party, just because.
I
And
fully
and
intend
and
to watch
who,
it
who
when
didn't
eating
threaten
Chinese
all?
food.
Who did not threaten all that Christmas party?
Right? The thing with the broken glass and no shoes, that's totally a failure of design.
It's true. He should have worn shoes. Mitigation.
Well, he lost his shoes, if I recall.
Well, you got to have
But
extra.
losing the shoes is bad design.
That was a threat. You lose your shoes.
No, if you're
mitigation.
going to go to
extra
Airbus
shoes in the
and shit.
backpack.
You gotta have like high-laced shoes. You don't go with moccasins or things like that.
True. That's just a fashion faux pas as well.
Totally.
Well,
It's a black tie event, people.
he needed to take out one of the hijackers so he could get their combat boots. That's what they needed.
There you go. There you go.
Nobody
All
thinks
right.
about taking the combat boots, so it's just come on.
Matt's gonna write a Die Hard novella.
Well,
The way
so
it should have been.
we could do you know, something like what Adam did for Star Wars. We could do it for Die Hard.
Die Hard, annotated.
All right, here's the holiday assignment. Everybody get the script, memorize it, start to finish, every word. Then we'll go from
Can't
there.
we do Monty Python instead? I already
Or
got like
Princess
alphabet.
Bride. If you have Princess Bride already memorized, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I am going, without using names, I'm going to let you guys know that somebody who was very near and dear to us this week told me that the Princess Bride sucks.
Wow.
Ponder that. Ponder that.
We're going to have him or her on this episode, on this podcast, so we can tell them why they're wrong.
Let's just expose them to the world here. Like, gotcha journalism. Let's go.
Yep. It was hard to take. It was. It took me. Yeah.
Now, when's the last time you watched Princess Bride?
What?
About a year ago.
Okay.
39.
This morning.
Princess
Was
Bride.
it?
As you wish, we know.
So it does. I haven't watched it in a while. It's been a few decades, but so it holds up though. In your mind?
Oh yeah. Totally. Although, yeah, I have to say that after House of Cards, it's hard to see hair as Buttercup again. But yeah, it does.
But I know something you don't know. I'm not left-handed.
You know a lot of things you don't. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good movie. Classic. All right, we should probably talk about something security here because we're approaching the 10-minute mark of the show.
Oh gosh, having too much fun. That's what happens when you go on a Monday morning.
It's the holidays. By the way, if anyone watches Tasting History, I spent way too much time on YouTube recently. Tasting History did a episode on eggnog.
What's a good Christmas gift for the security person in your life?
USB stick. Totally a USB stick.
Liability insurance.
One of those self-encrypting ones?
No, one of the ones you find in the parking lot.
Whoa,
How about a YubiKey?
Cheapos.
How about
YubiKey for
A YubiKey. A
YubiKey.
YubiKey is the socket stuffer for the whole family,
Yes.
right?
You could also do an OMG cable. Let's talk about USB cable.
Wait, what is an OMG cable?
It's specially modified USB cable with a wiretap, I believe.
Isn't it like a
Okay.
rubber ducky but on a cable?
Yeah, modified. Looks like a USB cable.
Okay. Interesting. I guess I could use one of
Which
those.
to give hours and hours of fun for the security person, because eventually it's going to end up in the pile with all the other USB keys, USB cables,
It's true.
and they don't have any marks on them because they're supposed to be unremarkable.
That's right.
And they're going to be like putting it into their desktops. And as we know, for every insertion, it's like a 3 orientation operation. So if you want to keep the security person in your life entertained for hours and hours, then you give them one of those.
Life pro tip: as long as the USB icon is on top or onto the right, depending on the orientation, it should fit first try.
What?
I saw that on Reddit.
What? I imagine you know everything that you see on Reddit. Oh wow! Yeah, there's a USB.
This is why I
this
switched.
this
to,
one doesn't have icon. This one doesn't have icon.
I switched to USB-C for everything.
Yeah,
So, like,
was that USB-C you were just looking at? Because USB-C
One of them
is
was, yeah.
interchangeable, right? So
That is not true, by the way.
what?
That is not.
do tell.
100% true.
No, you have cables that have only power, cables that have power and data. And some of them, for some reason that Lord knows what it is, the connector is on one side. I had one of those here, at least one of those.
Where did you
around here.
purchase this from? Was it a flea market?
Did you find it on the ground somewhere?
Wait, people purchase cables?
You
Tell
made
me
it.
more about that.
You
Tell
need a
me more about
design.
it.
See, that's a
No,
design
cables
flaw.
just appear here. I mean, like it's what's the name of the
Somebody
other theory?
airdrops a cable to you.
No,
So, like,
it's
did you spill water on another cable and then more
no,
cables
they
show up?
they had the theory for how cockroaches came to be once upon a time, that they just like naturally appear.
Spontaneous
just-
generation or whatever.
And
it's called.
that yeah. So my USB cables are all in that category. Like if I leave something on the side of my office for too long, it turns into a USB cable.
Interesting phenomenon.
Yep, that and
Like Discovery should
States of
send a
Queen.
Discovery should send a
Okay.
film crew.
So now, seriously, wait. Before we started, we had something that we wanted to talk about. What's it again?
Yeah, why do
Nobody
you?
can remember.
I think. Oh, I remember. It was. Why do you go to conferences these days?
Oh yeah, that.
What's the value of the modern security conference
Huh.
in a post-COVID world?
Well, in a
Okay,
post-COVID world or in a current cybersecurity world?
Sure.
Wait,
I was
wait,
just putting that in because I just said that because there was kind of the conference shift we saw before COVID, during COVID, and kind of after COVID,
Yeah.
where you saw a big change in, and I think some of that still exists today in that people just aren't getting as much of travel approval
Yeah.
as they did before COVID to be able to just jump on a plane, go to a conference for a week and hang out. Like that budget's got a lot tighter across the board. I've heard from people, a lot of different companies.
Well,
saying
is there still value in going if you have to self-fund, right? I mean, a number of us, I think, self-funded conferences this year, right?
Yeah.
Got time to go, but had to self-fund for travel and expenses.
So, first of all, let me open up a disclaimer. I have the honor and happy to be the chair for the OWASP events committee. So at least those events are near and dear to me. And with that said, I think that to me, you guys touched exactly on the thing, right? So COVID came and went. I remember that at the end of COVID, I was somewhat looking forward to human connection besides Zoom. I know that nowadays I really, really, really suffer from webinar overdose.
Yeah.
And I know that I look forward to going to conferences, perhaps not as much for the talks, because as we all know, a couple of months later, they're on YouTube. But for that, I won't call it networking, because I am really fortunate to have a tribe that I go to and I meet with during those events. So, I mean, looking forward to ThreadModCon is it's a pleasure. Well, no two ways about it. It's one day that you go in there and, just people that sort of like think about the same things that you do. And then you always have a good conversation, and then you always have a good meal with them. And
But you're
it
highlighting
renews those ties.
you're highlighting something that right, the conference part, right, is there are conferences that are presentation focused, right, where you go, you sit in a room, you're sitting surrounded by other people, but you basically just got lectured to. And then you have conferences where the lectures are secondary to the discussion and exchange of
Yes.
information, right? And of course, there is the networking and the camaraderie and the sharing of both ideas, personal and work. I won't say work related, domain related, right?
Interest related.
But yeah, interest. Birds of a feather actually is an apropos, I think, way to describe this, right? It's less of a training session and more of a birds of a feather.
And I think that last time in San Francisco, we had this really, really cool experience meeting someone and actually bringing together different parts of people that we know and putting them together to talk aside. And something really, really good came out of it. And that's something that, you can do it over email, but it's going to take time, and you miss that serendipity factor. And to be able to go to one place, get people together, connect the bits and pieces and say, that person should really get together with that person because they sort of talk about the same thing or think about the same thing, or they can feed on each other. That to me has so much value. Yeah. And to be able to, at the end of the talk, go and pull aside the person who just gave the talk and say, can we talk about this? Or I would like to hear more about this piece. Or can you explain that slide to me again? So it's not as much going to the conference to sit in a room for 45 minutes and listen to someone drone through slides, which is something that I do, by the way. I'm not talking about anybody else. I'm talking just about me when I present. But it's the around that thing that to me gives even more value to what's happening in there.
Does the size of the conference matter? So because you highlighted, I think, sort of getting to be able to talk to the presenter, right? If you go to Black Hat or DEF CON even, you're not talking to this. I very rarely, I think, do you have the opportunity to talk to the speaker, especially after immediately after, because it's always mobbed. But whereas OWASP and ThreatLikeCon are significantly smaller, there's others out there as well, where you can.
I think you have the ability to I've RSA is my favorite conference, just because everybody in the industry is there or lots of people that I've worked with in the last 25 years. I see people on the street. I bumped into Adam literally on the street a couple of years ago. Like, we literally bumped into each other because we were both looking down at our phones. It was hilarious.
You could have mugged him right there and he wouldn't have known, right?
Could have mugged me too. Neither one of us would have known. We just kept walking.
That's what's called a meeting of minds.
Yeah, literally. But no, RSA is a big conference with, 500. It's like same size as Black Hat as far as there's, rooms with 500 people in there. Mm-hmm. There's always, there's always a line of people kind of in the front, but then it usually migrates out into the hallway. And, I've sat in the hallway for 30 minutes, 60 minutes after a talk, because then what happens is you kind of get a group of people that tend to kind of circle up, and then the conversation is not just one person asking a question, but it kind of migrates into. So I think you can do that in bigger events. Are smaller events easier to connect with people? Of course, because there's just less total people, but it doesn't mean that you can't get a similar experience in a bigger conference.
Yeah, but it's also that difference that when you go to Black Hat or RSA or something like that, especially the keynotes, we are talking about those rock stars, right? You keep seeing perhaps the same faces in keynotes everywhere. So yeah, going up to a keynoter and talking to them, perhaps it's a bit more difficult. But If you're interested enough, and if you're willing to do some light stalking, I think that even on Black Hat, you're able to get to talk to the person who just presented. But this thing that you just mentioned, Chris, of sitting outside and talking for a number of minutes. As a speaker, I think that's actually what gives me the value. Like we the three of us are speakers. We usually don't get paid to speak. It has happened in the past, but it usually doesn't.
You've gotten paid to speak?
Yeah. Well, wait. If you count being flown somewhere to speak.
I was going to say, yeah.
Oh,
Getting
I
a
can say
conference,
that too.
getting
I
a
can
conference
say-
pass is if conference pass is payment, then yes.
No. I got like an invitation to speak and workshop, and the workshop was paid, but the talk itself was. But the point that I was trying to make was that as a speaker, that sitting outside talking to people after the presentation, that's my payment right there.
Yeah.
Because that's where people come up to you and say, we like it, we don't like it, we think that you got something, we think you're an idiot. And
Yeah.
in these conferences that I am fortunate to go, the level of feedback that I get is always incredibly useful and good.
You mentioned something else, though, as you were just talking, a form of touch upon. If you go to multiple conferences, especially within the same year, you tend to see the same content over all of those, right?
Matt, don't tell our secrets to the world, please.
No. I find, especially with the experience of being able to review submissions, and Chris is going to, actually the three of us have seen enough. I find that there are two categories, perhaps three categories of speakers. That there is that speaker that has the one thing for the year, like this is my message for the year, and they write from that, and perhaps you go the good ones, they get better as the year progresses, and they improve the presentation as it goes. And I'm talking to one in here that I have seen repeatedly do that and repeatedly get better over the years. But others, they come and say, well, if I presented A over there, I don't want to present A over there. I want to present something else, or I want to present, which is what I try to do. But what I do see is a repeat of the message, but in different ways. And I think that that's natural, because Lord knows that we see in the reviews that these things go definitely in waves. I mean, last time for OWASP, if I saw another one about AI or LLM, I was having a context blowout, and no.
I guess what I mean is, you get the same people the same presenters go to the successive conferences, but also the same attendees go to successive conferences, right? So you get somebody who goes to RSA and a set of conferences sort of related to that. You'll get folks with developer conferences or with like OWASP or some of the smaller, B-sides or whatever. And they tend to go to, like, if you have a bunch of conferences in the Austin area, you're going to all of them almost, like,
If you live in Austin.
if you live in Austin, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And so you'll get those, because some of those talks will be the same across the various conferences.
Well, I think people are not traveling as much, and that's why I think you can take a single message and magnify it across multiple conferences, because people aren't doing RSA, Black Hat, OWASP Global. They're probably doing one of those if they're lucky.
Right.
But not only that, it's not the same public. The people who go to RSA don't go to OWASP Global AppSec
True.
to watch to watch the stuff, not
True.
to present or to participate, right?
Yeah.
But one thing that I've been seeing a lot lately is more niche conferences. So apparently there is something called SkiCon New England.
Yeah, I've heard of
Have
that.
you heard
Yep.
of that one?
Yeah.
I'm tingling to have something for that one, because it's in Washington, I think, and that's where I learned to ski. So I have a warm place for that.
And then we haven't even talked about, branching out, right? So the security community, listening to security talks, going to security networking events, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Great as an industry, but is it still valuable? Or should we be looking at things like, KubeCon and some of those developer conferences, right?
I mean, Josh Corman was the first person who kind of coined the term the security echo chamber, going back 15 years now, and kind of trumpeting the fact that we need to get out of the security echo chamber. And guess what? It hasn't
not
happened yet. It's probably not going to happen. Well, because it's comfortable, right? It's like, are you going to choose OWASP Global or KubeCon if you only got one to go to?
Right, because what are you
I mean,
going to...
personally,
it's
Matt,
hit
where
or
would-
miss.
Where,
It's hit or miss with KubeCon.
where would you go? Which one would you choose?
Well, I went to OS Global and not KubeCon. So
Yeah, because and I mean it's the same way. Like we're comfortable where, like KubeCon, I'm looking at it going, I don't really spend a lot of time at Kubernetes. I don't know a lot of people that are going to be there, so I don't know that it's going to be a big return on investment for me to spend time traveling to that. So like we tend to migrate towards the things that we know, and the places where we're going to be comfortable. And I think that's just the natural order of things.
Yeah, but then also goes with what I think might be the life cycle of a security conference at ND, right? You start, like, you go to your first black hat and, oh my God, I'm in Vegas. Everything's pretty. Everything is shiny.
Where's my room? I can't find my hotel room. I don't know where it is.
Right?
look at all
Somebody
this.
hacked on my cell phone. Yeah.
Look at all the swag I got. Is it really safe for me to even have this?
Yeah, another Jedi sword that I have to carry through security on LA. So anyway, but you get to that like shiny moment of realization of, oh my God, I am a black hat, and then as you progress in your focus, let's say. So if you become a defender, if you become somebody who's more AppSec oriented, then you start noticing that perhaps black hat is not where you're going to get the most value for your buck, and perhaps you move towards OWASP. And when you get at OWASP, you start seeing people and meeting people and realizing that, you know what, these are not a bunch of Mensa genius level PhD. Well, there are PhDs too, but you don't have to have a PhD to present there. And over time, you present a bit, and then you notice that there are things that you can do to volunteer as part of the conference, as part of the organization, as part of the state. And again, you start finding your tribe, and that's what gives you the added value. So my point is, just being an attendee may look like this is not worth my effort. But once you start dipping your toes in the pool of being part of the thing, looking how the sausage is made, and giving your time to that, you start valuing that even more, and then you start meeting more people, and then you start, again, networking bigger.
Yeah, so we got to wrap this up. I guess, what's the takeaway then? Go to conferences? Don't go to conferences?
Find your conferences, I think. Find your conferences, and then volunteer.
And watch Die Hard.
Watch
and
Die
Princess
Hard.
Bride.
Unconceivable.
Back to back. Which one do you watch first, though? Die Hard or Princess Bride? I mean, to follow the storyline.
If you relate to Die Hard as the Brute Squad, are you really watching two movies?
Wow.
If you think about Nakamori Tower as the castle, have fun storming the castle.
Have fun storming the castle.
It's the same movie.
Listen. Yeah, but then you have to ask yourself, at which point do you put on the life of Brian? Because it's Christmas after all.
Oh, you got every
viewers.
Every
viewers, if you're on YouTube, use the chat to put your answer. Izar will be collecting answers for our next episode.
Yes, you will.
All
right, folks. With that will be it for today of the Security Table. For Matt, for Izar, I'm Chris Romeo, and we'll see you again soon around the Security Table.